Hello students, I hope you are all doing well. Please take out your honeysuckle books and open them to the designated page. We'll begin our lesson shortly. So children, whether it happens with you that you are sitting on a tree and some interesting is going down on earth, I mean to say fight or anything else, or you are watching something as a spectator. So here is this chapter we are going to talk about our narrator who's sitting on the banyan tree in an interesting manner. And then suddenly he sees that one mongoose and snake appears and then fight with each other. So in this chapter, how it exactly happens we'll come to know. So let's get ready to watch this amazing picture in the form of words, the banyan tree. So about the writer, a very well-known Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is an Indian author of British descent, born on May 19, 1934 in Kasauli, Himachal Pradesh. He spent his childhood in Shimla and Dehradun, where he was sent to the boarding school and was raised mostly by his grandparents and his mother. Bond began writing stories and submitting them to various publications in his teens, and his first story, Untouchable, was published when he was only 16. In 1955, he returned to India and began working as a freelance journalist and wrote his first novel, The Room on the Roof, which won the John Llewellyn Rhys Memorable Prize in 1957. Throughout his career, Bond has written over 100 books, including novels, essays, and collections of short stories, many of which are set in the Indian hills and mountains and feature the Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand regions. His writing is known for its evocative descriptions of the Indian hills and the interesting characters that inhabit them, and for its simplicity and contemplative style. His stories often reflect themes of simplicity, nature, and the importance of living in the present moment. Bond's writing has been widely acclaimed, and he has received numerous awards for his work, including the Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan from the Government of India, Sahitya Academy Award, and many more. He has also been honored with the Padma Bhushan, one of the India's highest civilian awards, in 1999, and the Padma Shri in 2014. He continues to live and write in Indian hills, and his work has been translated into several languages. He is also known for writing a series of children's books that features the adventures of a young boy named Rusty. So, aims and objectives: to enable the students with the ideas of making friendship with birds and animals, as the boy does in the lesson, to motivate them to write stories about birds and animals, to make them familiar with new words and phrases, as banyan trees are used for a variety of purposes, including religious ceremonies, to provide shade, and to improve air quality. So here comes the word meanings. Number first is spy, which is a verb. It means watch secretly. Then recent, verb. It means dislike. Then morsels. It's a noun. It means small pieces of food. Then fourth is delving. It's a gerund form, going deep into. Then propping myself up. It's a verb phrase. It means leaning against. Sixth is gliding, which is a verb. It means moving smoothly. Seventh, emerged, which is a verb. It means came out. Eighth, fangs, which is a noun. It means long sharp teeth of a snake. Number 9, dart, which is noun or verb according to the sentence. And the meaning is move quickly or suddenly. 10th is spectators, which is noun. It means those who watch a show, a game, etc. Number 11 is outcome, which is a noun. Its meaning is result. Number 2, glistened, which is a verb, and the meaning is shown. So let's start the chapter. The Banyan Tree. The fight of the cobra and the mongoose is a classic drama often seen in India, and the outcome is largely the same. Not immune to the venomous bite, but is faster and quicker in motion than the snake. The cobra assumes a posture of defense and attempts to reach the animal by a sweeping strike. But the quick-moving mongoose jumps out of reach and comes at the snake from another direction before the snake can get into striking position again. The constant movement tires and discourages the snake, and the mongoose is finally able to leap in close and bury its teeth in the snake's neck, usually severing the joints of its vertebrae. So this story is written by Ruskin Bond, and it's clear about our author that during his childhood, outside his grandparents' house, there was a banyan tree on which he was sitting. And then he sees fight between a mongoose and a snake. And the entire story is narrated beautifully through this chapter. So let's start with the first part. Part 1. Though the house and grounds belonged to my grandparents, the magnificent old banyan tree was mine, chiefly because grandfather at 65 could no longer climb it. It means, so here, narrator is talking about his grandparents' house, grandfather's house, and whole area belonged to him, but chiefly the extremely beautiful old banyan tree was mine because grandfather was not able to climb that tree. So the tree belonged to him. Its spreading branches, which hung to the ground and took root again, forming a number of twisting passages, gave me endless pleasure. Among them were squirrels and snails and butterflies. The tree was older than the house, older than grandfather, as old as Dehradun itself. I could hide myself in its branches behind thick green leaves and spy on the bird below. So here we are explaining about the branches of the banyan tree which were touching the ground, as it was very easy to climb on that because there were so many passages to go over it. So he felt so happy to sit over there. So along with him, many creatures also used to live on the banyan tree, like squirrels, snails, and butterflies. My first friend was a small gray squirrel. Arching his back and sniffing into the air, he seemed at first to resent my invasion of his privacy, but when he found that I didn't arm myself with catapult or air gun, he became friendly. And when I started bringing him pieces of cake and biscuit, he grew quite bold and was soon taking morsels from hand. It means the passage describes the speaker's experience with the small gray squirrel, who was his first friend. Initially, the squirrel seemed to be cautious and defensive, arching its back and sniffing the air as if it resented intrusion into the privacy. However, the speaker's kind and gentle approach, without any intention to harm the squirrel, changed its behavior. Once the squirrel realized that speaker posed no threat with any harmful objects, like a catapult or air gun, it started to become friendly. The speaker's act of bringing pieces of cake and biscuits further strengthened the bond between them. As a result, the squirrel grew bolder and more comfortable around the speaker. This passage illustrates the power of patience, kindness, and empathy in building trust and friendships, even with wild creatures like a small gray squirrel. It shows how a simple act of goodwill can transform fear and caution into a meaningful connection. My first friend was a small gray squirrel. Arching his back and sniffing into air, he seemed at first to resent my invasion of his privacy, but when he found that I didn't arm myself with catapult or air gun, he became friendly, as we have already done. He was a very young squirrel, and his friends and relatives probably thought him foolish and headstrong for trusting a human. It means before becoming the king of the squirrel's affections, the young squirrel had a mischievous streak. He would delve into the speaker's pockets and help him say himself to whatever he could find. This behavior might have seemed playful or inquisitive, but it also shows his audacity and fearlessness. The young squirrel's actions can be seen as a sign of curiosity and fearlessness because he wasn't afraid to explore and interact with humans despite the potential risks. In the squirrel world, humans are generally considered a threat, so his friends and relatives probably thought him foolish and headstrong for trusting a human. In the eyes of other squirrels, his willingness to be so close to a human might have appeared reckless because it put him in a potential danger. However, his boldness and trust were rewarded with kindness and treats from the speaker, turning him into a king of the newfound friendship. This illustrates the young squirrel's courage to look beyond preconceived notions and connect with someone outside of his species, highlighting the power of trust and friendship in overcoming barriers and fostering unexpected bonds. In the spring, when the banyan tree was full of small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. The red-bottomed bulbul, cheerful and greedy, parrots, myna, and crows, squabbling with one another. During the fig season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place in the garden. It means during the spring, when the banyan tree bore its red figs, it became a popular attraction for birds of various species. The abundance of ripe red figs served as a feast, attracting birds from all around. Among the visitors were the red-bottomed bulbul, known for its cheerful and greedy nature, along with parrots, mynas, and crows. The birds' behavior was marked by both joy and competitiveness. They would flock into the banyan tree's branches, eager to get their share of delicious figs. The red-bottomed bulbul's cheerful and greedy nature made it particularly active in partaking of the fruits. The parrots, mynas, and crows, known for their cleverness, also joined the feast and engaged in squabbles with each other over the ripest and juiciest figs. So this abundance of birds and their competitive interactions made the banyan tree the noisiest place in the garden. The air was filled with the sounds of chirping, squawking, squabbling as the birds enjoyed the feast. This passage paints a vibrant picture of the lively and bustling scene in the garden during the fig season, highlighting the diverse avian species and their interactions as they indulged in the banyan tree's delectable fruit. Halfway up the tree, I had built a crude platform where I would spend the afternoons when it was not too hot. I could read there, propping myself up against the tree with a cushion from the living room. Treasure Island, Huckleberry Finn, and the Story of Dr. Dolittle were some of the books that made up my banyan tree library. It means halfway up the banyan tree, the speaker had constructed a simple and rudimentary platform. This platform served as a cozy spot where he would spend his afternoons, particularly when the weather wasn't too hot. The platform provided a comfortable space to relax, read, and enjoy the tranquility of the tree's surroundings. To make the platform even more comfortable, the speaker would bring a cushion from the living room and prop himself against the tree. This allowed him to lean back and immerse himself in the world of books without discomfort. The speaker had assembled a collection of books that formed his banyan tree library. Some of the titles mentioned were Treasure Island, Huckleberry Finn, and the Story of Dr. Dolittle. These literary works transported the speaker to different worlds and adventures, offering an escape from the everyday reality while nestled amidst the branches of the banyan tree. The combination of a tranquil and elevated setting along with captivating books created a serene reading nook for the speaker. It demonstrates how nature can provide a peaceful refuge for reading and contemplation. allowing one to explore distant lands and imaginary realms without leaving the comfort of his own backyard. The Banyan Tree Library represents a unique and personal sanctuary where the speaker could unwind and explore the wonders of literature amidst the embrace of nature. When I didn't feel like reading, I could look down through the leaves at the world below. And on one particular afternoon, I had a grandstand view of that classic of the Indian wilds, a fight between a mongoose and a cobra. When the speaker didn't feel like reading on the makeshift platform halfway up the banyan tree, he had the option to enjoy the scenery below through the gaps between the leaves. This point allowed him to observe the world beneath him, providing a unique perspective of the surroundings. One particular afternoon, the speaker was in a thrilling experience. He witnessed a classic encounter that is well known in the Indian wilds, a fight between a mongoose and a cobra. This confrontation between the two formidable creatures is a common sight in certain regions of India and is often regarded as mesmerizing yet dangerous spectacle of nature. The mongoose and the cobra are natural enemies, and their encounters can be intense and fierce. The mongoose is renowned for its agility, quick reflexes, and ability to fend off venomous snake bites. On the other hand, the cobra, with its venomous bite and intimidating hood, is a formidable predator in its own right. The fight between these two creatures represents the constant struggle for survival in the wild, where each species is trying to outwit and overpower the other. Observing such rare and captivating event from the grandstand view of the banyan tree must have been both thrilling and awe-inspiring for the speaker. This passage portrays the unique advantage the banyan tree's platform offered, not only for reading and relaxation, but also for witnessing the wonders of nature unfold right beneath the branches, including the dramatic confrontation between a mongoose and a cobra. It highlights the beauty and excitement of nature's interactions, providing a glimpse into the intricacies of the ecosystem in the Indian wilderness. In part 2, the warm breezes of approaching summer had sent everyone, including the gardener, into the house. I was feeling drowsy myself, wondering if I should go to the pond and have a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes, when I saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus. At the same time, a mongoose emerged from the bushes and went straight for the cobra. It means, as the warm breezes of approaching summer enveloped the area, everyone, including the gardener, sought refuge inside the house to escape the increasing heat. The speaker, too, was feeling drowsy, contemplating whether to head to the nearby pond for a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes, possibly to find some respite from the sweltering summer. So, this was the thing. So, here we are doing, this is the chapter. Yeah, this was the chapter. The speaker too was feeling drowsy, contemplating whether to head to the nearby pond for a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes, possibly to find some respite from the sweltering weather. However, just as the speaker was considering their options, an unexpected and thrilling sight captured their attention. A huge black cobra emerged, gliding carefully, gracefully out of a clump of cactus. Cobras are venomous snakes and are generally considered dangerous, especially when encountered in close proximity. In a dramatic turn of events, the scene took an intense and fascinating twist as a mongoose made its appearance. Mongooses are well known for their agility, quick reflexes, and ability to confront and defeat venomous snakes, including cobras. Upon spotting the cobra, the mongoose wasted no time and immediately went straight for the dangerous snake. The mongoose natural instincts and skills come to the fore as it takes on the formidable cobra in what would likely to be a fierce and high-stakes battle. This scene portrays a classic encounter between two iconic creatures of the Indian wilds, the mongoose bravery and strategy, combined with the cobra's potentially deadly venom, create a tense and riveting moment in the nature. It underscores the continuous struggle for survival between predator and prey, where each species relies on its unique attributes to gain an advantage. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree, in bright sunshine, they came face to face. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a superb fighter, clever and aggressive. But the cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move swiftly and strike with the speed of light, and the sacs behind his long, sharp fangs were full of deadly poison. It was to be a battle of champions. It means the lines you have provided here describe the scene of a cobra and a mongoose about to fight. The cobra is aware that the mongoose is a formidable opponent, but it is also confident in its own abilities. The cobra is a skilled and experienced fighter, and it can move swiftly and strike with the speed of light. It also had deadly venom that can kill its opponent. The lines set the stage for a battle between two evenly matched opponents. The cobra and the mongoose are both powerful and dangerous creatures, and the outcome of the fight is uncertain. The passage also creates a scene of suspense and excitement as the reader wonders who will emerge victorious. Here is a more detailed explanation of the lines. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree, in bright sunshine, they came face to face. This line sets the scene for the fight. The clearing is a neutral ground where the two opponents can meet without interference. The bright sunshine also creates a sense of openness and visibility, which adds to the sense of suspense. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a superb fighter, clever and aggressive. This line shows that the cobra is aware of the mongoose strengths. The mongoose is small, but it is also agile and cunning. It is also known for its aggressive fighting style. But the cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move swiftly and strike with the speed of light. And the sacs behind his long, sharp fangs were full of deadly poison. This line shows that cobra is also a formidable opponent. It is skilled in combat, and it can move quickly and strike with deadly accuracy. The cobra's venom is also a powerful weapon. It was to be a battle of champions. This line summarizes the scene and sets the stage for the fight. The cobra and the mongoose are both skilled and experienced fighters, and the outcome of the fight is uncertain. The passage creates a sense of suspense and excitement as the reader wonders who will emerge victorious. Overall, the lines you have provided provide a vivid description of the scene of a cobra and a mongoose about to fight. The passage sets the stage for a battle between two evenly matched opponents, and it creates a sense of suspense and excitement. Hissing defiance, his forked tongue darting in and out, the cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet off the ground and spread his broad spectacled hood. The mongoose bushed his tail. The long hair on his spine stood up. Though the combatants were unaware of my presence in the tree, they were soon made aware of the arrival of 2 other spectators. One was a myna, the other a jungle crow. They had seen these preparations for battle and had settled on a cactus to watch the outcome. Had they been content only to watch, all would have been well with both of them. In these lines, the cobra is preparing to fight. It is hissing defiance and its forked tongue, 3 of its 6 feet off the ground, and it has spread its broad spectacled aggression, and it is meant to intimidate the mongoose. The mongoose is also preparing for battle. It has bushed its tail and the long hair which stood up. This is a sign of fear, but it is also a sign of aggression. The mongoose is not going to back down. The myna and the jungle crow have arrived to watch the fight. They are both spectators, not involved in the fight. However, their presence is not welcome. The cobra and mongoose both focused on fighting with each other, and they don't want any sort of distractions. The myna and the jungle crow are soon made aware of the danger. The cobra hissed the mongoose, bares its teeth. The two birds realize that they are not welcoming. And these lines show that the cobra and mongoose are both dangerous creatures. They're ready to fight and they are not afraid to hurt anyone who gets in their way. The myna and crow are wise to leave, as they couldn't have been injured or killed if they had stayed. So in these lines, the cobra is trying to hypnotize the mongoose by swaying from side to side. The mongoose knows that the cobra's eyes are powerful, so he refuses to look at them. Instead, he fixes his gaze at a point just below the cobra's hood and opens the attack. The mongoose moves forward quickly until he is just within cobra's reach. He makes a pretended move to one side and the cobra strikes. The cobra's hood comes down so swiftly that it seems like nothing can save the mongoose. However, the mongoose jumps neatly to one side and darts in as swiftly as cobra, biting the snake on the back and darting away again out of the reach. At the same moment that the cobra strikes, the crow and the myna hurt themselves at the cobra. However, they collide heavily in midair and shriek insults at each other before returning to the cactus plant. A few drops of blood glisten on the cobra's back. These lines show that the mongoose is a very clever fighter. He knows how to use the cobra's weaknesses against it. He also knows how to avoid the cobra's strikes. The crow and the myna are not as clever and they end up colliding with each other instead of attacking the cobra. So in another lines, the cobra strikes again, but the mongoose is too quick for it. The mongoose springs aside, jumps in and bites the cobra again. The crow and the myna dive at the snake, but they bump into each other again and return to the safety of the cactus. These lines show that the fight between the cobra and the mongoose is evenly matched. The cobra is a powerful creature, but the mongoose is clever and agile fighter. The outcome of the fight is still uncertain. The lines also show that the crow and myna are not very helpful. They are more interested in fighting each other rather than helping the cobra. This is likely because they are afraid of the mongoose. So in these lines, the crow and the myna are still determined to help the cobra, but they are not very good at all. They dive at the cobra, but they miss each other and their mark. The cobra strikes the crow and the bird is flung nearly 20 feet across the garden. The myna remains on the cactus plant, and when the snake and the mongoose return to the fight, it wisely decides not to interfere again. The cobra is weakening and the mongoose is gaining the upper hand. The mongoose walks fearlessly up to the cobra and snaps its snout. The cobra writhes and lashes about in a frightening manner, but the mongoose hangs on grimly. The snake eventually ceases to struggle, and the mongoose drags it into the bushes. The myna drops cautiously to the ground and peers into the bushes from a safe distance. When it sees that the mongoose has won, it flies away with a shrill cry of congratulations. These lines show that the mongoose is a very skilled and determined fighter. It is able to defeat the cobra even though the cobra is a powerful creature. The myna is not as skilled a fighter and it's wise to stay out of the way. The lines also show that the cobra is a dangerous creature. It is able to kill the crow with a single strike and even tries to coil itself around the mongoose. However, the mongoose is able to defeat the cobra because it is more agile and has a thicker skin. The outcome of the fight between the cobra and the mongoose is a reminder that even the most dangerous creatures can be defeated by a more skilled and determined opponent. So it's the summary of the chapter, the banyan tree. A boy who came to live with his grandparents became the owner of a large old banyan tree that housed squirrels, snails, and butterflies. A squirrel became his friend on the tree. They became so friendly that the squirrel started taking tidbits of food from his hand. In spring, the tree was the noisiest place in the garden with a variety of birds chirping on it. The boy made a rough platform on which he used to sit and read adventurous books during hot summers. From here, he also watched the world under the tree. One day, he watched a fight between a mongoose and a cobra while sitting on a tree. Because of the hot summer, everyone was indoors. The boy was thinking of going to the pond and have a swim with the buffaloes and Ramu. Suddenly, a huge black cobra and mongoose came out. The cobra was aware of the superb fighting skills of the mongoose. However, the cobra was no less. He was also fast and had sharp fangs of deadly poison. None of them knew that the boy was watching them. Other than the boy, two spectators, a myna and a crow, were also watching them from the clump of cactus. The mongoose opened the attack. The crow and the myna also joined them in the fight and attacked at each other in the air, but returned safely to the cactus twice. The third time, the myna returned safely, but the crow was hit by the cobra. The injured crow fell on the ground. The fight between the mongoose and the snake was still continued. Finally, the mongoose defeated the snake. The snake resigned and stopped struggling. The mongoose dragged and pushed it inside the bushes. The myna was watching all this. It gave a congratulatory shrill and flew away. So here comes the practice assignment for you children. Answer the questions. Number 1 is, the crow and myna also tried to join the fight. What happened to them in the end? Number 2, briefly describe the fight between the mongoose and the cobra. Who emerged as the winner in the end? Number 3, how did the squirrel transform from friendly to bold? Number 4, why was the banyan tree so special for the young boy? And which beautiful memories were associated with it? So, thank you all for actively participating and completing the chapter on the banyan tree. If you have any questions or need further clarification, feel free to ask. Otherwise, let's move on to the next chapter next time. Keep up the good work.